All right, welcome into the half. My name is Aaron Montgomery. You can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. This guy over here is Erich Campbell. You can find him at Erich Campbell, ERICH Campbell.com. Erich, good morning,
This is
sir. How
true.
are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Do you ever tire of me making sure I add the H in there and get real clear on that?
Not at all. Honestly, it's very lucky. There are very few Eric Campbells with the spelling that I have, more than there used to be out there online, and I'm sure they all curse my name for having the .com.
There
But
you go.
but yeah, it's easier to find me that way. I'll take
Yeah,
it.
there you go. Yeah, it does make it easier to find you, and it's better than the way my co-host on Two Rare Guys tries to make it address you. So,
Oh,
um,
I will go ahead and I'll put it out there myself. E-Rich, and that
E
is
Rich,
fine. The E-Rich is fine. I will survive.
the
It's not
rapper
the worst
name.
thing I've been called in my time.
Yeah, way better than what most people call me. So, all right, I'm just gonna leave
I
that
don't think
there.
that's true.
So we've got Todd with the usual
Yo, what's
checking
up,
in
Todd?
over
Let's go.
from Fat Dad Wholesale over there. Hello, Jeff. Thanks for being here. Good
Happy to
morning.
have you in, sir, of Fuller Embroidery Works and the Embroidery Nerd. So
Thank you
check out
very
their
much.
content.
There you go. And good morning. Happy Friday, Ramona. Thanks for being here. Um,
Yes.
Jeff, you make a very valid point. You should
Yeah,
number
no
these so we
idea.
know what we're on. If Eric talked for a while, I could go figure it out real quick. But
This is possible. If you feel like top figuring it out at some point, we can. Yeah, I don't know. With me making a big deal out of my, 100th episode, which, by the way, those of you who've been waiting for the merch drop is on its way.
all right,
You
the
might just
merch.
see something today. The first little tiny bit of stuff. We'll see, because
Nice.
people have been begging.
All right,
So
well,
the
just
the
keep
first
showing up.
tiny little easy bit, I started. I dipped my toe in the water. We'll see.
Yep, yep, definitely. All right, Lyndon tuning in. Hey guys,
Nice.
Education Friday, indeed. Love a good
Indeed.
Education Friday.
Yes.
And then
Cindy coming in from Texas. Good morning, Cindy King.
yep,
Happy to have
yep,
you in.
yep, definitely. And then Todd says it's better than being broke.
This is absolutely true. I have been broke, and I am happier to be rich.
He's a much happier guy as he
God,
rich.
you
All
you
right.
made me say it and everything.
So keep it going. Good afternoon, Chuck, and appreciate you tuning in. And
Good day.
Terry, Eric, and Erich.
Yep, it's coming. It's
You
coming.
started it, dude, not me.
Hey, you know what? Honestly, it's kind of like, and don't get me wrong, I know that we know Jay Bassell's good friend of the show, does his own awesome shows too, and he turned into the taco guy. Now we know he does love tacos, not as much as he means to. The brand got applied to him. If Rich is the worst that I get as somebody applying a brand to me, I'll survive, right? That's
Nice.
not the
Yes.
worst thing.
Yep. Definitely. Just own it. There you
At
go.
least you remember.
Yep. Good to see you again, Christine. Hey, Christine, I get a chance to answer your question over there in the comments about is it okay if somebody shows up at the Two Regular Guys and trolls for guests? I know you were just asking for a friend, but totally okay because as long as you
Yes.
just send some of the guests that we haven't had back our way, we'd appreciate that too. So
I think that's the case with content creators. I think everybody's just looking to continually have something good to talk about. I mean, why not share? I don't think that's a problem. Do the rounds.
yeah,
Plus,
yeah,
every time we do that, the rule is if you snipe someone's guest, then just make sure you refer to that show in your show.
yeah,
Let's go link back if you want to see them talking on the other show. That's the
yeah,
fair way to do
yeah, yeah.
it.
Good afternoon, Christy. Thanks for being
Hey,
here. And
good
then
afternoon,
we have Leanne
Dan.
checking in from
Yep.
Australia. Good day,
Good
mate.
day. Oh man,
I
you
tried.
went for it, and I was not willing.
I went for.
Thank
Hey,
you for being in.
when I was in gosh, I think yes, it must have been either junior high or elementary school. We
Yeah.
had a foreign exchange student who was from the Gold Coast in Australia,
Oh,
there
nice,
in the
nice.
Sydney area. What a great young man he was, and he also we took a trip over to San Diego. We lived in Arizona at the time. We took a trip over to San Diego, and he found his way out to the beach the one night and had a good time. And he got sick the next morning in the car, and I didn't know why. But now, as I'm older, I know why.
Yes, I've actually had the great privilege of working with quite a few Aussies. You guys know that I worked for Deco Network, which is an Australian-based company. And what the thing that got me is that you guys sometimes have awesome slang. Now I know that some of the slang I was told was out of date, but the slang was good, and so I picked up a lot of it. And the one thing is, the CEO of the company said fully all the time when he was talking about something. He's like, fully. That was confirming to something. I said it for like a year after that. I had so many like Aussie slang things from that I know are out of date, but he imparted on me after we hung out for a
There
while.
we go.
So
There we
great,
go.
much love
No,
for the
yeah,
folks down
definitely
under.
much love, and that's
Yeah.
that's actually one of my bucket lists.
Oh yeah, totally, totally,
Australia is definitely on my bucket list.
for
I would
sure.
actually move there. So anyhow, that's a whole different story for another time.
Nice.
All right, Frank. Good afternoon from stormy England, and
Good
then Jeff
afternoon. Thank you.
talking about the count here. We need to know when we get to 100 halves or 50 holes. Yeah, I don't know how that works. And
I don't
then
know how the
like
math works on that.
the one where I did it, and then Eric did one by himself, and I did one by
True.
him. So how does that count
So those
too?
are quarters now. What do we do with that? Right?
Oh man, the math here is going to get crazy,
Yeah,
and
it's just not
we all
good.
know math's not my thing. So, um, all right, Barb, thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
Glad to have you here. Just ship
Swag.
swag
Yes.
is always fun.
Swag is always fun. I agree. I mean, it's hard because there's this whole kind of movement now, not to bring us into the real world again, as I always do, but there's this kind of movement to not have what they now call brand fill. And this is a contentious thing to talk about, but hey, I do that. The concept of promotional products that are intended to get tossed that are not going to be around a long time. So there
Yeah.
is this kind of like there's this swag balance that I have not figured out myself yet. But this concept of like, all right, how can we make things that are branded but they honestly hang around? And the coolest thing
Yeah.
is the longer you have something hang around that's promotional products, that's the more impressions you're getting.
Yeah.
If you think about it
Yeah.
in the kind of the ad space, the more times somebody looks at that, the longer it's hanging around, the more impressions you get, the more people see your brand and it's, top of mind. That's how the whole point. So I think there's plenty of reason not to do brand fill. At the same time, there are items that are swag that everybody loves that aren't really particularly useful or constantly, part of the thing. So it's tough. What I always say is this: if you have novelty, that's great. Utility makes something long term. So real utility plus novelty and good design will go a long way, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And I
awesome to
think
get that balance, but it's coming more and more. In fact, down to the point of like reuse of garments, people doing decoration on stuff that's coming out of the thrift world. There's a lot of stuff going on in that space that we'll have to kind of watch and see where decorators fit
yeah,
into it.
the upcycling and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
as we're talking about swag and branding and promotional product type things, I think if you're working with anybody on a project like that, it is really important, like you said, to talk about that
Yeah.
cost per impression. It's not
Yes.
about the price; it's that cost per impression. If it's
Absolutely.
just it's a crummy t-shirt, but just a, not very exciting t-shirt, then yeah, the likelihood of that being worn all the time and being their favorite shirt's probably pretty low. It may be the one that they mow the lawn in a couple times and it ends up in
Yeah.
the trash. But if it's something, really nice and stands out and they're wearing that all the time, even though it might cost more to make up front, the cost per impression is really key. I mean, this is not like a really great example, but these are our pens that we have for our success group, and oh, sorry, yep, there we go. Thanks,
There we
Frank.
go. So
Uh,
you can actually see them.
the design's not all that great, but the pen itself, being a left-hander, I need a certain kind of pen. I
Yeah. Yeah.
like just any old pen does not work for me.
Mhm.
The way I write as a left-hander, I need a certain pen. So, I spent a little more for these pens. Yeah,
Mhm.
not a massive amount, but a little bit more for these pens because I knew people would want to keep them, right? And I already get comments like, "Oh, that's my favorite pen. I use it all the time." And so, their favorite pen is going to have my company name on the side of it. That's pretty cool that people will be seeing that. So we'll
Oh, totally. And as Jeff says, to prove it, Jeff says I've been using a lot of OSG pens lately.
there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
When they hang out, they hang out. The one that I always tell people about, the company that my mother worked for when I was a kid, she worked for a place that made orthopedic supports and things. So she
Okay.
was worked in the warehousing, but also at times in production for making, orthopedic garments, wraps, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I have one of their branded cloth tape measures that I have carried my entire career since I was a kid. I still have it. It still functions. Company is out of business. and the logo is still, and the logo is barely visible. And if you think about how many times I've probably pulled that out in front of someone and measured something, if you think about the number of times someone's seen that brand, now it wasn't always useful impressions, but the number of thousands of impressions that item has gotten is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You couldn't buy that number of views digitally if you wanted to,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
people who are spending actual time with the product.
Yeah.
Is it always useful? No, but it is funny to think if you have something that's truly useful, or that is somewhere where it's going to be viewed a lot, you get a lot out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
That's a
almost laughed. By the way, I nearly died. I have to go to the comments because
okay.
Leanne almost got me. Fully sick, mate. Yeah, I almost lost it. You almost got
There you
me
go.
entirely with that. Thank you
Very
for
good.
breaking me up.
Very good. Very good. Well, one more quick comment, story on the swag
Sure.
thing. Like you talk about the tape measure, the fabric tape
Yeah,
measure.
yeah.
One of my favorite promo products I ever got was this kind of multi-tool that's part tape measure that I love, and
Mhm.
I don't take it with me anymore. I don't know why I stopped. I just when I switch backpacks, it didn't make the cut, but
Right.
maybe I got to put it back in there.
Didn't
But
make the
anyhow,
everyday
the
carry cut.
company that was on it, I was not a fan of. So the decoration that was the company brand, it was
Yeah.
actually just one of those kind of dome stickers in a little slot. Peel that bad boy off. So
An argument for getting your stuff engraved or using a higher quality
that's right.
decoration.
Yeah, making sure people can't pop the name off of it. All
At the
right.
same time, I can't say anything because part of what I've been teaching lately, people are asking me about how do we deal with this concept of reuse, and part of the concept I've come up with, I'm like, hey, you guys are in the embroidery world. Are you telling me no one has ever brought you a pre-decorated garment for a cover-up? Because we have.
Yeah.
I think we're
Yeah.
about as bad as tattooists for doing cover-ups. Embroiderers put appliques and patches over stuff like all the time. So when somebody told me, "Oh yeah, this whole reuse thing," and I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about." I, some of the things that I've done the most patchwork for, certainly garments that you can't work on, and you guys know I've done the TV and all that stuff, where and military, the real stuff, the police military stuff is patchwork all the time. If I'm doing patches for a normal company, a good portion of those, at least in my early career, were cover-ups, and especially in like the real estate world. If you guys haven't done a lot of work for real estate agents, they switch companies, they switch brands sometimes fairly often. They will move in and out of different brands depending on the kind of perks they get and the way that their numbers are working. And let me tell you, they buy very expensive garments that they now have decorated with whatever brand it is. I won't call out which ones we're switching to because they all went back and forth. And if you think that they don't come and ask for a nicely made patch to cover that, you're wrong. When you have a $300 jacket that happens to be embroidered with your previous real estate brand on it, believe me, they come and ask to see if patches are an option.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's I don't want to say that it's always going to get you more impressions to have a nice garment. People may reuse it, but at the very least, I will say this much: if I've had somebody give me something that is not useful or is a bad version, like nothing will make me not like a company more than a bad pen. A pen that doesn't write reliably, you look at the brand as if they made the pen. And I know that that's stupid, but your head immediately is like, oh yeah, thanks, whatever insurance company. Boom,
Yeah.
toss the pen out. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't afford the 50 cents to make this pen good. What do I think about your service? What do I think about what you care about me as a
uh,
customer? Toss.
this that brings, oh man, sorry to
No,
keep
go for it.
adding on to this, but
Hey, this
this
is
brings
how
up
the app
another
works.
fun story. I'm not going to say that I actually made the decision based on this, but it certainly crossed my mind as I was choosing the hotel to stay at. I being somebody that used to do a lot of trade shows and
Hmm.
working trade shows,
Yeah,
having that tool, right, your sales tool of the pen was really
yeah,
important. And I love the pens that they used to have at Sheraton. They don't have them there anymore. At least the last few times I've been, I haven't been able to
yeah.
borrow any of them permanently. But
Yep.
but yes, yeah. So as I was choosing between one hotel brand and the Sheraton brand, the thought did come to my head, well, I can get the pen at the Sheraton and everything else is kind of equal. So I'm not saying I made the choice, but I certainly didn't hurt the choice.
And admittedly, it's rewards programs and other things certainly factor in if you travel a lot. I mean, I'm a big Marriott guy. Why? Because I get free nights at Marriott. I stay out often enough. Even as much as I don't do the major travel that a lot of guys do, I do enough that every year I'm getting a free night.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. But invariably, I'll tell you, when I'm reaching for a pen, the pens that they have, even though they're pretty normal clickers, they're not that different. They are rubberized and they write every time, to the point where I will reach for that one specifically for my bag. Whoever has done the overall branding for all the Marriott brands, they all use the same model pen,
Yep.
and they all work every time I bring them out of my backpack. And so
Yep.
honestly, that pen ends up, you're right. I thought about it. I was looking for a hotel and same thing happened almost essentially. Not because I was trying to get the pen, but because I'm sitting there looking for my hotel and I'm having some issues with where I'm staying. And I go to, I'm writing my notes for getting myself ready and realize I'm holding a Marriott 4 Points pen. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. They're out there. That is totally why I remembered to go check them.
Sure. Sure.
And I checked their website outside of the deals, and there we are. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I guess I'm staying at 4 Points. It looked, and I was like, hey, I don't know if I ever stayed there before. Is it a good one? Oh, there's literally the pen from there, and that's the only place that has one of these. I guess that's probably where I stayed at one point.
Yeah.
It must have been good enough. Boom.
That's
signed up.
Because yeah,
It does work.
The good pens always go in my pocket, and then the pens that are like not so good, those ones that end up on the table, because those inevitably walk away, which is fine. You know, that's fine.
I
You
love
want
this.
that
Is like
pen.
you guys are getting the like backdoor salesman strats for how to use a pen. So there's your dominating
That's
strats
funny.
for pen use from sales guys.
Nice. All right. Well, Kingsbury Crafts, good morning.
Good
And
morning.
Cindy says, don't tell Marshall that I jumped out of his show to watch y'all. We appreciate you being
Hey,
here.
jump back and forth. It's okay. We're
And
all happy with each other.
yeah.
Don't feel
And
bad.
then Todd says, sharing is caring unless you're an a-hole. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And then, Christine did say Lori was awesome and she would be a good guest on Women in Business podcast.
Yes,
I
if you
agree.
guys didn't see it, go back and watch the Tubular Guys show from this morning. We had Lori Donovan, Sawgrass. She's a product ambassador, I believe.
Yes,
Product ambassador is a full title, and she does a lot of teaching on that. And she did a great show talking about her kind of come up from working in the craft world to doing her own kind of cottage industry. Funny enough, that's what I'm doing today. We're talking about that on the take up today, and I did not plan that with Lori. I didn't think about it. I had already written that in.
Example.
But yeah, she was a good example of going from the kind of craft side of things into the cottage industry into a professional space. So yeah, she's really great episode today. So definitely check that out.
Definitely. Yep. tworegularguys.com is where check that out. Shark Attack this week, crazy. I saw a little bit about that, but didn't
see that.
Didn't go too deep into that. So let's see. Another international viewer, Heather Davidson, checking in from Scotland. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, appreciate that. And then Swaggy Mate.
All right. I'm not going to try any accents.
You always got Leanne there. Yep.
Yeah. Fully sick got me though. You really did.
Christine says Australia has too many animals that can kill you. Spiders that jump off walls and eat your face. Stuff like that. I'm willing to put up with a few animals that could kill you. It's a beautiful place from what I understand.
There are an awful lot of arthropods out there.
I love all the people too. I've never met an Australian that I don't like. I'm sure there's some that somewhere.
No, the Aussies are awesome. I know Lisa Shaw, who's frequently here too. She goes and teaches out there and with a kid and sewing, and they have a great time every time. So I've heard nothing but good, and the folks that I worked with were great.
Well, if anybody would like to bring me over to teach or educate, I can share success principles, whatever you guys want. I'm there. Just get me to Australia. All right, you got a deal?
Like grab that flight.
Yep, there you go.
And we'll get the rest handled.
Cover the flight, maybe put me up somewhere, and then I'll take care of the rest. Okay. So Bill checking in. Good morning. Thanks for being here, Jerry. And let's see here. I want to make sure we just kind of touch base with everybody and then get back in for some questions here too, because we do have some questions. And you already got Jeff's thing about OSG pens.
Yep.
Good morning. Happy Friday from Clara, right? Am I saying that right? Maybe.
Yep, Clara. I said Clara. I think it probably is, but yeah.
Yep. And Todd, this is why, yes, I need a certain pen, the lefty smear. As a kid, my side of my hand was always black because I don't do the whole crazy upside down.
Oh, the curved around writing.
Drag across it. So
I am right-handed, painfully right-handed. Certainly because of all my years of keyboard and mouse, my left hand is great at chording, and because I play the dulcimers behind me, my left hand does that. It does not write or do anything fine. No, thank you. It says no. I have tried to get more ambidextrous over the years, and sadly, this thing is a clamp that holds stuff for the other hand to work on. I wish I had gotten better than that, and I'm just not yet.
Outside of using the mouse, I really could cut my right arm off and not really notice it. That most people that are left-handed, because the world is kind of
Yeah,
designed
sure.
around
Sure.
right-handedness, because that's what most people are.
Yeah, man.
Most left-handed people tend to be a little ambidextrous for whatever reason. I guess my parents didn't push me, and I was kind of just a mirror image of my dad, so I just kind of did everything the
Opposite.
opposite of him, and it
Yeah.
worked out right. So, yeah, so that's
No, whereas like my wife is
interesting.
ambidextrous to the point of she doesn't have preferences on stuff sometimes. She can write both sides, she can do all that. And my brain just does not go that way.
Yeah, yeah,
Not in the slightest.
yeah. All right. Well, let's cover this one here. How do you guys plan out a half day training? How many times do you have to run through it till it fits the time slot?
This makes me scared to say this because I feel like it's about to go wrong on me. I'm about to do a half day training not too long from now, about 1 week from today, a little bit less.
Yeah,
And truthfully, I have a certain number of slides and a certain amount of material. I feel like I just know I can get there. And I know
yeah,
that sounds like really amorphous, but for me, I know about how much time this stuff takes. And then I will run through this at least a couple times. I'll run through the whole thing, which people are like, really? You present the whole thing? And absolutely, I do. In by myself, I present the entire 3-4 hours.
yeah,
I will absolutely run through the whole thing. And in fact, what people don't know is I often do that. The day before a big show, I may be early at the hotel and presenting to myself
yeah,
because I will do a final run through fairly frequently when I'm doing something that long or something that big. The 1 hour, in fact, honestly, I do it for most of my stuff. I will
yeah,
represent everything the week before I do it, or literally the day before, the morning of. I will do a run through to make sure I'm good.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it usually takes some time. But I think that's what's funny is I struck upon that balance really early, and ever since I did that, it's been all right. The other thing I find is that if I have a clock in front of me when I'm presenting, I don't have too much trouble either rushing a little bit or backing off a little bit and extending if I feel like I need to. What I'll say for my point of view is I'm always over length for content. It's more likely that I'm going to have to back myself up so that I get any Q&A time or so that I'm not being kicked out by the next person who needs the room.
hmm,
But yeah, at least a couple times, 2 or 3 to run through the entire thing is pretty normal
yeah, yeah,
for me
and
at least.
yeah, and I actually find it harder personally to get the shorter ones
Yeah.
done. Just like you said, with a you've kind of got that window and you've got a certain amount of content and where you can kind of go. And so for me, yeah, I'm like you where, I know the time it starts and I've got some time things that I try to hit, because early on I made that mistake. I'm halfway through my content and the time's up and I'm going,
Yeah,
oh
man.
crap. And then the person behind me is like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet? I need and so,
Totally.
learn that stuff the hard way. So yeah. And then the other part about the half day for me is because it is a workshop, it's a little bit different than what I would do in a traditional seminar where, in a traditional 60 to 90-minute seminar, while there may be a couple of exercises, a couple of kind of interactive things, there's a lot more, not lecturing, but sharing of content, trying to get people to kind of understand
Mhm.
points and get them to see things a different way. Whereas in a half day workshop for me, there's going to be a lot more interaction. Okay, let's do
Mhm.
this work. You guys have to, here's the idea, here's the process. Now I want you guys to work on it here for 5-10 minutes. So that way you can experience that and then ask me specific questions about what happened for you, not just what I'm sharing with you. And then you go home and do it on your own, and then at the fact that I plan on leaving people with this, opportunity to record themselves and have a video, that puts a whole nother fun little play in that. So I got to figure out who's got the room after me and and see who I need to grease here to make
Yeah,
sure that just in
right.
case.
And
um,
here's the thing that I'm going to admit. I am a professor. I am a lecturer. When I go up to do it, even the half day, everybody's like, "Really, you do a half day?" And I'm like, "Yeah, with breaks." But yes, I tend to lecture. I don't do a lot of hands-on. There's nothing against hands-on. Like I said, Lisa, who I brought up already, Lisa Shaw does cool hands-on stuff, but she does like a 3-day retreat to do
yeah,
hands-on.
yeah,
And I feel like if I were doing hands-on one-on-one like that for digitizing, I'd want to do the same.
yeah,
If you're going to digitize in front of me, I need days. I need many hours. 3 hours with breaks is not going to do it to get us all the way there. So even I'm doing a beginning digitizing course this time. It will be primarily lecture. There'll be me showing you some live digitizing stuff at the end. Plus, what I've found is whenever I've done workshop level content like that, and I've already heard this from the people who are coming to this session, people are, even when they say it's all beginner or people can be at these certain levels, people are at different levels and show up with different equipment and different abilities every time.
Yeah.
So unless you're doing something that is more general, or you're providing the equipment and software, or you're able to set up that expectation ahead of time, for me, I'm like, I'm going to teach you these things that are going to generally help you. And then I'm going to do some stuff and show it to you, but I'm going to expect the follow-up work to be something you do on your own. The other thing I do, this is the other way I cheat. So Todd, if you're listening and you still want tips, my other way to cheat time is to do this. My handouts act as a supplementary ebook that is more than what's in these slides. So if I need more material, I have it in mind and I'm going to say more than I need there that I have on the slides. But if I don't have, if I don't have time to cover material, if I cut things, I can always say, hey guys, make sure you refer to the handout in this section. You're going to find supplementary information about X.
Yeah.
And it allows me to trim my time a little bit.
There
If
you
I
go.
go through my rundown and I think that there's no way I'm covering a section, I've had entire segments that I had to cut out of classes where I'm like, all right, I have this tangent I went off on. It's still important information. I want them to have it. But
Yeah.
if I've got an hour and 20 minutes, there is no chance I have a 15-minute diversion off into this other place in my life. You're going to have to go to the handout for it. But I give it to them in the handout.
Yeah.
Now, I think I probably have some of the longest and densest handouts in the business, is what I've heard. So that may
Yes.
not be for everyone.
bring your smoking jacket and spend some time in the lounge chair.
Let's
No.
put it this way. My latest one is just over 40 pages. So 44 pages. It is an ebook that you get for free for showing up to my class.
There you go. All right.
But hey, that's how that works for me.
Nice. Well, we're gonna have
You
to.
asked.
Yeah, we're gonna have to plow through some comments here
Let's
and,
do
and try to hit them quickly because we're running out of time. But if you
Let's
do
do
want
it.
to see this whole concept, all the stuff that we were just talking about come to fruition, show up at
DAX
one of
show,
these DAX shows and you can
please.
see the end product of all this work and get the tome.
Or have Aaron actually help you with something instead of just blowing your brain out and then waiting for you to ask follow-up questions.
There you go. All right. So let's see how fast we can blow through some of this stuff here and make sure that we don't leave anything hanging. Just Ship says good luck on doing hang around stuff. Most of my swag comes in play for a period of time, then drops to the next big thing.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It's
And
part of the game, right?
Yep. Big time. It's next big thing and novelty. That's one of the other ways you can handle it for sure.
Yep. It's just Ramona said, I'm looking to pass out emery boards this year to add to the unconventional tools for embroidery machine. That's awesome.
Yeah, she had a great idea for that.
Even though I don't embroider, I still have my my quick 2-stitch little bag with all my little tools in there. All right. And then Christine says pens tend to hang around a lot for me, and tumblers and water bottles. Yep. Justin only catching. Now, does this factor into our math too? If Justin only catches 2/3, do we have to
more fractions.
calculate that? Okay.
No, you know me. I'm always getting people on metric, everything else. No more fractions.
Yep. No more fractions. All right. Christine says the whole uniform business is about reuse. That's why patches are so vital. Names and logos get removed and covered all the time.
Consistently.
Yep.
Also, sometimes garments get reused when they're expensive enough. Believe it or not, have done that too. Expensive, special technical garments that people turn back in, put new names on them. Have done it.
Yep. Okay. Marianne says, yes, always. They will pay whatever it takes to cover up.
Yep.
So like you said, tattoos and embroideries, I think it's a needle thing, Eric. It must be.
It must be.
Kingsbury Crafts says, I like the plastic with razor letter opener.
Yeah, the letter opener hook. Yeah.
Coupon slicers. I've never thrown away one. That's a good one. I like that.
Useful. Still useful.
Christine says, cheap swag is worse than no swag. The swag you give out tends to reflect the value of your brand. I like that. That's a good point.
I agree fully.
Shared the take up with both Lenny Penny and Applique Getaway groups today. Looking forward to the show this afternoon. So there you go.
Thank you much.
Yeah.
Hopefully I come through. I'll do my best. Do my best.
We're just going to throw that up there and move on.
Thanks.
And Todd is such a lefty. He doesn't even
also
use his right hand for the mouse. He actually has his over on the Yep. Cindy says, I thought it was always cool when the left-handers had their own notebooks. I have 2 left-handed kids. This is my 3-ring binder here.
Yep.
And most people, this would be the front of their 3-ring binder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is the front
back.
of my 3-ring binder. Actually, open it the other way.
Got it.
Todd says, Eric, 60 slides an hour, me 6.
Sure. 1 to 3 minutes per slide, usually for me. That's my,
Yep.
my average.
All right, Jeremy's got. I did one of my first presentations. I only got through 60% of it. The creativity, this creativity does not like boundaries. Absolutely, Jeremy.
Been there, man. Well, you know what I always say about creatives and boundaries.
We almost got through them. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks. There's our boundary. Catch you later.
See ya.